We got our first contract sent over for our first client with the agency that we built in under 2 weeks. It is for an $85,000 a month ad spend client. POC was sent. This isn't the contract here. This is a blank sheet of paper. The real contract is virtually sent via DocuSign. However, starting to get traction. I posted, I think it was a few weeks ago, that I had a client approach me, an investor, and they were like, hey, can you build an agency out for me from scratch, right? They had nothing, no prior ads, no offer, no brand, no landing pages, nothing, right? And we got started last week, had about a month just going back and forth, seeing what they wanted to do, but we officially started last week from brand, ads, everything. So call it 2 weeks. We've been running ads. We've got some deals coming through. We've sent out the contracts. I'm going to show you exactly how we did it start to finish. Let's go. All right, so let's get into this whole flow and exactly what we've done in the past. I think it's like 1.5 weeks. Call it 1.5, 2 weeks. All right, so I'm going to go through step by step, basically from creating the ad to the brand to how we built the audience to the offer to even how we triage the call, because this is really important. We do something called a knowledge gap analysis. Then I don't think anybody really teaches that. But let's get into it. So the first things first is we created a brand, right? This client had nothing, right? No prior brand, no case studies, no data, no pixel, no ad account, nothing. To start brand new, ad account, brand new brand, everything like that. I just got to Canva. We created basically a business all about helping service-based businesses get leads from HVAC, roofing, electrical, all that good stuff. All right. Then what we did is once I had that, I went over to Audience Lab and I used our B2B to C matching tool to be able to build an audience of all the businesses that I knew were home service businesses. Okay, I did this using a SIC code, which is a standard industrial classification. If you see here, I use 1711, and that allowed me to get all the home service businesses. All right. Then what I did is because I had this audience of like 100,000 people, whatever, I took the personal email. So I did a B2B to C match, which if you see my video on B2B to C matching, it's one of the most powerful things you can ever do in terms of targeting businesses online. And I uploaded the personal email. So I built 6 lookalikes from this seed audience. So you can see here, I've got this seed audience here. HVAC businesses, it says HVAC, but it was all kinds of like home services. And then I've got all my lookalikes up here. I've got my 1 to 2, my 2 to 4, 4 to 6, 6 to 8, 8 to 10, right? And then what I did is I loaded these in the ad account. I started off with my 1 to 2, 0 to 1, 2 to 4, and my 4 to 6. Okay. And what I did is I had 3 ads in each. Now for the ads, I used an AI copy prompt, which we've been starting promoting inside of our school. And I'll drop a link so you can access it on our challenge that we run. But essentially, I just put in the details, popped it out, did a bit of research, and I was able to get the ads, right? So I had 3 ads, each with a unique angle and the same base. Then I used something called 11 Labs to be able to create like an AI kind of voiceover. And then I sent it off to an editor, and then I have my videos. Now, I started off with lead forms, and the lead form redirected to a high-level booking form. I always start with lead forms on a new campaign because I don't know my landing page should even be yet. Sometimes people have the wrong landing page right ad, and that's why it won't work. All right. So I started off with lead forms. It went pretty all right. We got 32 leads, 21 bucks a lead, which is quite expensive for lead forms, but we're about to do this optimization and get that a lot lower. Best one we can see here, we're getting like $15 leads, which is quite good. Now, this wasn't just name and email. This was name, email, revenue, and a few other questions. Okay. So what happened here is people would fill this out, then they would book. Okay. So we had a few good bookings, which was great. Now you'll notice we didn't even build this guy's offer yet because we wanted to just get him on calls and then we could start, getting the offer. We had the niche, we had the vertical, but we needed a bit more than that. Okay, so we have all the calls and everything there, a few no-shows, but it was fine. We had some good, decent calls. Then we jumped in what is called a knowledge gap analysis. Now, this requires a whole hour-long video, I think, because I created this, I think it was like 3 years ago, 4 years ago. And essentially, it is the best way to triage a prospect, okay? So let's imagine, you're meeting with somebody that is your ideal prospect. They're over, I don't know, let's say 100K a month revenue, and they're like, how can you help me? You're not going to get away with your typical gap selling of like, hey, how much are you spending on ads? Like, how do you want to grow your business? If you just ask open-ended questions, they're either going to lose interest because they're like, this guy doesn't know what they're talking about, or they're going to give you open-ended answers, which are going to throw off the call entirely. So we created what's called a knowledge gap analysis. And basically, it's a very systematic way to break down your entire script. And what you do with the knowledge gap analysis is you assess and then you assign a frame. So what we get our clients to do when we build these out is when on the triage call, we focus on this or that. We don't have it open-ended. So instead of saying, how many leads you're generating for your business, which could mean anything, and anybody could ask that, we say, hey, how you generate this for your business? Is it paid ads or referrals, right? Is it one or the other, okay? Because you want to lead them down different tracks. And then what happens is once you're confident, like, okay, this guy here, what are you doing? Running paid ads? Cool. What's your close rate? Is it over 30%? See that? Is it over 30%? Not what's your close rate? They say, hey, yeah, it's over 30%. It's not over 30%. All right, is this due to leads not being qualified or the timing of the leads? Not qualified. Okay, are they not qualified financially or they lack intent? Oh, it's actually about the intent level of the leads. Cool. And then we click here, and then we'll click here, and then that takes us to the frame, which is the low intent frame. And when you assign a frame, you want to do a few things. First thing is you ask permission. You don't want to go assigning frame without permission. Then you break down the real problem. You do a knowledge gap, and then you do angst and a CTA. All right. So real problem. Oh, okay, Mr. Prospect. The reason why most ad campaigns produce low intent leads is due to generic interest targeting, everyone else or what everybody uses. There is no intent behind these audiences. Okay. So you say the real problem. Then you go knowledge gap. What we have is a live feed of blah, blah, blah. And a knowledge gap is basically the definition of a knowledge gap is essentially the thing they really want, right? Solved by an unexpected solution. Okay. It's basically taking like everything that they want in life and, the biggest challenge they're trying to solve, but a different way to do it. So you've got them hooked. Once you assign a knowledge gap, if you do it the right way, no one's going to ghost you on the calls coming up because they're going to be like, what's this thing that I don't know? Again, I need to do a whole hour video on this knowledge gap analysis, but I've done about 2,500 of these. And they work. Then you have the angst, right? So you say, this is how we do it differently. Then you have the angst. You say, where most people go wrong, and this is a powerful sentence because I actually got this from Oren Klaff, and it's called the buyer's formula. And essentially, by outlining what the counterintuitive solution is, if that's the right way to put it, by outlining the solution that most people try and how it goes wrong, it really cements the authority. Does that make sense? And then you wait, all right? Now, what's going to happen is one of two things. You're going to say, does that make sense? And they're going to go, yeah, wow, I never thought about it that way. Boom, frame successfully assigned, right? Then you can jump into the CTA. Or they're going to be like, no, not really, that doesn't make sense. If they say that, that's a great chance to just ask a simple question, what about it didn't make sense? And then you take the learnings and then you run through it again, okay? And this is how you assign a frame, and this is how you do a triage call, all right? So 90% of people will say, yeah, no, that makes sense. I didn't think of it that way. All right, cool. Let's do this. I want to show you exactly how this works. Mind if I connect you tomorrow to show you, right? This is going to book so many qualified prospects, and it's going to get people that actually want to work with you because you've assigned a frame. Once you assign a frame to someone, they're going to be so much easier to close. And this is all about micro commitments. Again, that might be another video. Then what you do is the triage call. After that, you have your closing call, and I like to do this in a forecast, okay? In the forecast, I like to do three things. The first thing I like to do is I like to break down just the realistic forecast of like what they could be looking at if they worked with anyone, right? So like, this is the average close rate. This is the average cost per click. This is the average CPM in your industry, right? And I just say, this is what you're looking at, right? It's not very fun. Then what I do is I show them the needle movers, right? I'm like, hey, if we take your CTR from like 1% to 3% by using this in-market audience, look how it changes things. And if we take your CPM, we lower it by 20%, look how it changes things. If we match up 30% of your traffic and we convert just 1% of those, look how that changes everything, all right? And I show them, wow, this is the possibility of the needle movers, because now they understand, okay, I can get to this place with just a few little changes. I just need the person that can provide these changes. Then what I do is I add in our fees and I say, okay, so I just change this, this, and this is going to get you to this revenue point. And what I'm going to charge is I'm going to charge this, this, and this. And then I basically seamlessly break down our fees in part of the whole process, and easily I can get somebody to sign a contract from there. All right. So I get them to do a forecast call. So this client's already done, I think, 2 forecast calls. We've sent out 1 proof of concept or POC, which is basically, it's not a free trial. I hate free trials. Free trials basically is nothing. It's like, oh, it's no commitment. I'll just work for free. And if you want to work with me, that's great. Proof of concept is super fast. It gets to the point, has a very specific outcome, and there's already a signed agreement in play where things just roll over into a 6 to 12 month contract. That's why I like to do proof of concepts. So what we did is went through here, we did this. Now this first client that we ran through this process that we got from these leads, the first call that this guy had about 85,000 a month ad spend to allocate, right? Juicy client. So we're going to pitch him about a $10,000 a month deal offer, right? And he's already pretty much ready to roll. We've already sent the proof of concept and it should be signed by end of today. Second one we had a call with, we did the same knowledge gap analysis. They had about $7,000 a month they could spend. We're going to probably settle on $3,500 a month and do a full build up. Now, a lot of people are going to be asking me, what is the offer? What are these guys selling, right? In our program, when we do this for agencies, we license the data to them. Okay, so we give them access to Audience Lab, which is a tech company, if you don't know already, and we give them access to unlimited potential to be able to build and use any audience. So for example, we had somebody come in and they were in HVAC. They spent $7,000 a month on Angie's List, and they're like, hey, you know, what can you do for me? What we can do is we can literally get all the people looking for HVAC, put it inside of Facebook, run very specific cheap ads to that, and then get them better leads than if they get anywhere else, right? And that's what we'll do for them. So that's all we're putting together. For this guy that had about 85,000 a month, he was already spending money on ads. So we're doing a data licensing deal. But what we're doing is we're basically licensing him, our pixel and our audiences, and then he's going to pay just a monthly fee. We've got 3, 5, and 8. Okay. And that really is the process thus far. Okay. This has all happened within about 1 to 2 weeks, 1.5 weeks if you want to be really granular, right? Now, what's going to happen next is based on what's closed. We've got 2 potential deals, 3 actually, that are about to close. We're going to see where they came from and what ads, right? So we're going to figure out what ads, and then we're going to take that ad, and then we're going to build a landing page from the lead of that ad, from the first part of that ad. Once we have our landing page, we're going to duplicate the campaign, taking the best audience, which is going to be this one and this one. We're going to duplicate it and have a conversions campaign, and then we're going to optimize for calls directly. All right. So we're not going to do lead forms, we're going to do calls directly. It's going to end up being around 70, 80, sometimes $100 cost per call. A lot of people think like you can get cost per calls for like $40, which you can, but it's not about cost per call. It's about ROI. Okay. I'll pay $300 if I know I'm going to close a good amount of them. All right. So if I have my sales process in check. So we're going to duplicate that. We're going to run that, and set up like a landing page type campaign focusing on conversions for appointments. And then once we have that, we should be able to scale up to 5 to 10 a day. And the rest is history. I mean, that's what we're going to do. Now, with this client, there's a whole bunch of stuff we're going to do with this offer. If you've seen my vertical takedown video, that's what we're doing for this client, right? So we're going to start off in the home services niche. We're going to get a few accounts at 10K here, 4K here, 10K here, maybe get to like 25, 30K a month. Then what we're going to do is we're going to build out a whole SEO infrastructure using our system. And then we're going to start generating leads and then selling leads to the client. And then we're going to do this whole vertical takedown, which is going to skyrocket us from like 25,000 a month, 30,000 a month, all the way up to 50, even $100,000 a month, with way less overhead. All right. Because that's what we do. So that's the progress so far. I would say this is part 2. Part 1, I was just telling you guys what I was going to do. And then part 2, I just did it. Yeah, thanks.